You guys give it up for my friend, Calvin Wayman.
Oh, man. You did this?
Nope, I'm good. And that's it. We're done. So that's the message. So we can just wrap this up. I was talking to my buddy Matt, actually, just a couple minutes before this. I don't even know what I'm going to talk about yet. So I guess we'll find out together, shall we? Something I'm big on is wanting to make whatever message needs to be given very contextualized and give you something that you can actually implement and use right now. So first of all, I just want to do a quick test. If I were to ask you a question, is anybody willing to raise their hand if I ask a question if it's yes? Who's willing to play that game if I ask a question? Okay, about 20, 30%. That's cool. So I just know now I need to adjust people's answers. That was just a sampling. So I make sure I'm doing it the right way. Who was here at Epic last year? A few of you? Awesome. Who here is here for Epic the very first time? Awesome. And who here has maybe seen me on social media or kind of knew me before this? That freaking hurts. So this is kind of new, and that's kind of what I figured. So what I want to do is drop maybe 3 stories just to give context for conversation. Context for conversation that we can have and carry on throughout the rest of this event. Cool? Because I don't want it to end here. Something that I'm very committed to is based on the context of what you see, wherever you are at specifically, then we're here for 2 or 3 more days. So I'm going to be committed to stay here after this talk, in the back, based on the context that you get. If you have any questions, let's go deep. I will be committed to answer everybody's questions here if you have them. Cool? So, to give a little bit of background of where I started from, if you would have seen me 5 years ago, you probably wouldn't have recognized me. Not only because I now have a beard, none of that, but I actually come from a background that's very not really traditional. I was in a very, not just traditional, but very conservative religious family environment. And in that environment, my family very much did not want to expose me to outside influences. Hence, I was actually homeschooled my entire life. Most people didn't know that. This is kind of a new thing that I'm wanting to come out and share, because really people come to me now and they see me online and they think, dude, how are you, you can do that because you're extroverted. Nuh-uh. Did not start that way. 5 years ago was this awkward dude. Some things haven't changed too much. I'm not saying completely not awkward. It's definitely there. But I went most of my life without ever having a lot of public social interaction until I actually went to college. And I tell you that just because I know that whatever your journey is going to be, you're going to have something that eats at you saying, yes, I want to do that, but I don't know if I can. Yeah, I know that so-and-so can do that, but can I really do that? And the reason I wanted to kind of start the conversation around fear is that is a real thing. I know that each of us in this room, you might have a fear for something, right? There's probably something that you know you want to do, but can you really do it? Or what might be holding you back? I was certainly there. So 3 years ago, I came to a head with this realization around fear. I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur and work for myself and be able to do the stuff, everything that you just kind of saw, this quick reel, that was such a dream. I had it forever. You might be sitting here, whoever watched the awesome Hackerette talk, which, great job, love that. You want to travel. You want to be able to do what you want, when you want, with who you want. But what is stopping you? I had that same thing. I was at my day job and was like, oh, I want to do it, but I don't know if I can. I got married, had a baby, and was like, I want to do this, but I don't know if I can. And what I want to do is just drop like what happened and then wrap it up at the end of what actually made the fear into a good thing to actually get me to take action. Because the punchline, the end of the story there is after going year after year after year, just looking back and realizing, how much do I have to show for the last year? Not much. Man, I want to do my own thing. What's stopping me? I got to the point where I was like, man, I just got to freaking jump. And I did. And that's the journey that I've been on. And I want to get that piece for you because I know that if you can just make that leap happen, then the world shifts. Because every one of us, I believe, if you're here for a reason. You were called to be here on some level. There's something you have to share with the world. And I'll wrap it up there at the end and just kind of jump to some other story. Because when I was first asked to come speak, they wanted me to speak on something called influencing influencers. If you've seen me around before, seen me on social media, see that I've been around people like Gary Vaynerchuk or Ty Lopez, or I just shot, if you know Billy Jean, he's blasted you with ads. Just barely shot a skit with him. And so I've been getting the question on podcasts, how do you get around people like that? How do you get around cool people? How do you network? And I hate that word. And so what I wanted to do is to give you something that you can use immediately today with these people and give you where I learned to network or to get around these people. When I first jumped out of the employee game and was an entrepreneur, I went to this event similar to this, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind. There's some of you in the room that have been to this event. But the thing that blew my mind was this. I interacted with people like you're interacting with people here, and in the course of the conversation, inevitably, people said something to me that it just made me do a head tilt. I was like, what? Why are they doing that? This event was an event, it was a higher ticket price point, and so everybody in that room was a badass. And so I was like, why are they doing this? And this is what they were doing. In the conversation, they said, how can I support you? What do you need? What are you up to? What can I do to add value to your life? That blew my mind because of the background that I came from and the other events that I was in. Like if I ever went to like a networking meeting or something like that, like at 7 p.m. on a Wednesday, and that's what it was for, was to network. It was usually like people trying to shove business cards down your throat. I don't know if you've ever felt that, like, oh, we should totally do that. And it was like, take. And that day is where I learned the secret to developing real relationships that get you to where you want to go. Because here's the thing. You've heard that in fact, Reagan said something earlier that I just freaking love. It's not just the strategy. It's like 20% of it. It's not just what you know. It's the mentality and everything. And what helps with that is your crew. So it's not what you know. It's who you know. And so how do you get around an awesome crew of people, no matter who it is? Value first. That's what it is. It's playing the long game. You're trying to, instead of like saying, what can I do to score this thing now? It's playing the long game. And I saw that in action, like immediately. I saw these other people doing it. I was like, holy cow, if everybody at this event is doing that, when I'm in a conversation with Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's like, what can I do to add value to you? Or I'm in a conversation with some other entrepreneur, and they're like, how can I add value to you? I was like, that's it. That's what I want to do. I just want to provide value. And then in another moment, I was at an event where Ty Lopez was the keynote speaker. And around this time, Periscope was a thing. Does anybody remember Periscope? Anybody still on it? It's like a live streaming app. I loved it. And then this thing called Facebook Live came around. And then Periscope was no longer. But around that time, a lot of people were getting big on it. One of them was Ty Lopez. And I tell the story because so many people ask, like, what do you do to get closer to someone? And I'm not going to say that this is what's going to make you be the very best friends with these people, but it's going to get you closer in their influence if that's something that you want to do. When I was hanging out when Ty Lopez was at this event, I noticed that he was on Periscope and he didn't have a link in his profile, something super simple. And so, as somebody that knew about Periscope, I knew a link was important because then he could get some little lead if his clients or his audience saw that. And so I just asked him, why don't you have a link? And he's like, I didn't know you could have a link. And I was like, yeah, this is how you do it. And then he said some problem is like, the one thing I hate about Periscope is not everybody can comment. My audience is huge and not everyone can comment. And I was like, oh, well, this is the hack that you can do to make everybody comment. And he was like, dude, this is awesome. Maya's his cousin, like, connect with Calvin. Let's have him come to the house. And Ty Lopez was one of my first ever clients of me selling a Periscope course because of one simple little principle: value first. So that's a huge thing that I want to keep with you. And then just kind of keep it real and take it to the next step of something that you can apply now with something that you're doing to get started. The journey that you're going to be on, if you are looking to live an epic life and to aim higher, it's going to have a lot of confusion, hardship, and anything. There's not a single person you will ever look to, like anybody that you see that is on this stage or any other stage or on TV or on social media, that you say they just followed this perfect step. It doesn't work that way. And there's a lesson that I learned that has helped me so massively that will help you with your getting started, no matter how confusing your start is and you don't know what to do. And it's something that I learned in Park City, Utah, in rain and snow, when I ran that 50-mile ultramarathon. Now, just to clarify, yeah, that's 50 miles ultramarathon. That is 2 marathons in a row at once, and I had never run a marathon before when I signed up for that. Now, why do you think I did that? I'm crazy. Like, what else? Now, besides that, somebody that made me, that I know some of you in this room know, you know a guy named Hal Elrod. He's the guy that made me want to do something crazy like that. Because one day, I heard the story that I heard somebody say somebody ran 50 miles, and I just dismissed it. I was like, that's bullshit. Nobody can run 50 miles. That's crazy. And then I come across this guy, Hal Elrod, super cool dude, if you don't know him. And he was just like me, who hated running, and he himself skipped marathon and did 2 marathons. It's like, what? And so then I had to check with myself. I realized a couple weeks ago, when I first had the idea of doing 50, I was like, oh, there's no way. I can't run 50 miles. That's crazy. So that was what was going to hold me back from doing what I was capable of. My own thought process, not what I actually could be capable of. And so then I thought, where else is that showing up in my life? That I don't even try something that I'm completely capable of just because I say it can't be done. And so that was the day I said, you know what? I'm freaking going to do it. And I signed up for a 50. But where I want to fast forward to is in that race, I signed up for September because I figured that would be the best weather. I didn't want it to be in like August because that would be super hot. I didn't want it to be November because it'd be cold, or October because it'd start getting cold. So I do it in September, and then it's like a week before the race. I pull out my phone to see the weather. 32 degrees and snowing. Biggest mind F of my entire life. But the point I want to get you to is when I am 26 miles in and I'm collapsed and I can't go anymore. I at first had the vision, I've got to give this a shot. I'm going to see if I can do this. But now that I was in it and I was drenched from rain and snow and my knees gave out and I knew I couldn't go anymore, I collapsed. And I just knew I couldn't see the finish line. I just knew it wasn't going to happen. But then I asked myself something interesting in that moment. but am I completely done? Like, yeah, I can't see there's no fucking way I could go another, double this. But could I go to this table? Yes. Could I go to that post? Yes. And so that's what I did. I went to the next tree, and then to another tree, and then thought, let's see if I can get to the next checkpoint. And I kept doing that, and 15 hours later, crossed the 50-mile ultramarathon finish line. Here's the thing I learned. In the moments that you don't really see the exact result that you want, and I know so many of you have this because I had this, like even just a few years ago, attending an event like this for the first time. Sometimes it is fuzzy, and you don't know exactly what it is that you want to do. And you don't know exactly how you're going to get the result that you want, whether it's to start a business or have a business. And this is the one simple thing I want to leave you with, and it's this. When you can't see the finish line, just take the next step. When you can't see what it is you want to do, just take the next step. Then it unfolds. Life and entrepreneurship does not have every step. That's what everybody wants to sell you. Like, this is how you get there. It's BS. There is no exact step on how to get there. There is not A through Z. In entrepreneurship and life, I believe, out of all of the 26 letters, you've got 3. You've got A, you got B, you got Z. Z was the middle finger. I don't know if I should just show that. The first one, Z, is where you want to end up. A is where you are now. And B is your next step. That's all you need. Don't wait to make sure you have every little thing lined up before you get moving. So, where do you want to go? Where are you now? Take the next step. And going back to how to conquer the fear. The reason I'm so big on fear is I remember when I was getting started, I thought something was wrong with me, honestly. I would look at all of my mentors, people I put up on pedestals. I was like, I want to be like that. And then I tried doing stuff, and shit was hard. I was like, what? Like, was it really supposed to be like this? It is, and it's okay. But I want to give you something very practical and tangible to get you moving to overcoming the fear or getting through the fear. Because so many people will try to sell you on getting rid of your fear. And that is such horse crap. Like, you can try getting rid of fear forever, and you're going to have it. Every human being is going to have fear on some level. So what made me take that jump and take that leap out of my day job when I had a wife and a 1-year-old and all of that debt? By the way, completely quit my job cold turkey. This is what happened. I projected myself 10 years in the future. And I had an exercise, actually similar to our, hypnosis exercise. Totally random, by the way. We should talk later. Literally closed my eyes and projected myself 10 years in the future and had a conversation with my 10-year-older self. And I asked myself, what if I don't do anything? We have all these fears of what could go wrong if you do something. My question to you is, what if you don't? For me, I imagined waking up in 10 years down the road, scariest damn thought of my life, and having nothing has changed. That ate at me. But do you want to know what ate at me more than anything? What if that fire that I have to go after something and do the thing that you want to do, the fire that you have to do something, the reason you're in this room, whether it's to create something, build something, you're here for something, I thought, what if that fire I have right now to do something died? Because I didn't act. That scared the living hell out of me. And so the key there, I'm not going to tell you that you're not going to have fear, or this is how to get rid of fear. This is how I beat fear. This is how I try to do it on a daily basis. Fear is something you would deal with on a very regular, real basis. But in a very non-traditional answer, like people in personal development will tell you how to be totally positive. I believe in all that, and I am that, and I believe in positivity. But I did not beat it with positivity. I took a bigger fear, and it obliterated the smaller fears. The fear of it dying or it going away or me waking up and having that regret, that is what really made me squash the smaller fears. And so if there's one thing that I want more than anything, if I could give you one thing, I do not wish regret on my worst enemy. I would hate that if anybody woke up and felt that regret that they didn't take action on it. And so I just want to leave you with that. First thing, you're going to have the fear, but what could you do to look it in the eye and ask yourself, yeah, if I take action, it's scary, but what if I don't take action? If you want to get around the right kind of people, give value first. Give first, ask second. And then, just like I said on the race, when you get to the point where it's not very clear and you don't know what it is that you're going to do to get to the finish line, when you don't know how to get there, just take the next step. Thanks, guys.